And we don't know what you're agreeing to when you click that agree button on the terms of service. And so what clause flag does for you is it essentially flags important clauses within a terms of service and finds those things that would harm you if you just were to click agree on that TOS. So let me get right into the demo. I'm just gonna set it down so it's easy for me to type. So you're gonna log in. And then I implemented 2FA. Not 2FA, but authentication, some sort of authentication. And then so you're signed in, and then you can see that there's a few options where you can see your history, an option to delete your previous scans, and then you can access the actual scanner here. And so the scanner takes in 3 types of inputs. You can input a PDF, a URL, or actually paste in the terms of service. So I'll go ahead and show y'all. So this right here is Apple's terms of service. I just copied it from their website. We're gonna go and just paste it in. And so there's 2 ways you can do the scan. So you can do a scan with just a quick regular expression. This just matches phrases that I curated, and it essentially does this. And I guess the benefit of doing this is it's super quick. Boom, you just get a quick summary of everything. And then the hybrid will combine this with an AI-powered scan of that same text. And so that's going to start running. Let me take y'all through what y'all are seeing over here. So over here is just a quick AI summary of the TOS. And so then it just describes the main key points and essentially sums up what this is for you as a user in a few sentences. And then over here, you can see a score. This is once again AI generated, and it essentially just once again gives you a quick brief pop about like how hostile is this TOS towards you. You hover over it, you can see a justification for the score. And then you scroll down, and then you can see the terms of service, and then highlighted within the terms of service are like pattern match phrases. This is from the regular expression. And high, medium, low signify different phrases and how harmful they are to you as a person reading this or agreeing to these terms of service. And so then, give it just a second. It takes a second because this is kind of big. Okay, boom, it just finished. And so then now you can see over here are the AI found clauses that are potentially harmful towards you. And then these up here are just filters. And so these filter what appears in the terms of service certain specific clauses that are found in specific ways. And then down here is an AI chat that you can talk to about the actual terms of service. And so we can go ahead and just ask it a question. And it's going to go ahead and respond to you. And then a cool feature, not really that big, but you can go ahead and see the specific clauses it references when it responds to your questions. And then let me come back over here and then show you all the PDF feature. And so then just for the sake of time, I'm going to do just the regular expression for now. And so then same thing, it'll take the PDF, parse it, put the text, and then it'll go ahead and do the full scan. You can do the AI scan too if you'd like to. Yeah, that's the scan, and then the URL. It can go ahead and fetch stuff. Yeah, it'll go fetch it, and then bring the term service, put it in here, and that's going to do the scan. And then you can go ahead and see everything over here on the right. And so then this is just one part of the product. The second part of the product is this. So let's say you're browsing, okay, and you just, I don't know, you stumble upon the terms of service. Boom, the browser extension, which you can install from Chrome, will pop up and it detects the terms of service on this website. And what you can do from here is you can do 2 things. You can first do a quick regular expression scan. This is just in the browser, and it'll give you a quick summary of what this term of service is for you, just some clauses that it finds. And then from here, you can click the Open Full AI report, which will take you back to the website, and then plug in the terms of service from that website, and then do the full AI pass on that website. And then while this is running, I'm going to take you back over here and then show you all the history feature. And so then what the history feature does is it just shows you your previous scans. You can go ahead and click on it, and then it'll fetch everything from that scan, all the information. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. Thank you all so much.
nicely done. It's really a clever thing. It's kind of unimaginable how many of these online terms we've all agreed to and have no idea, no tracking. They all actually do apply and are enforceable. What made you think of the idea?
So actually, it's kind of a long story. So I was planning on studying abroad next year in the spring, and so then I had to find someone who would take my lease in the spring, right? And so I looked around in the fall semester, like housing apartment hunting season, found some people, and then actually like a few weeks ago, the people who were supposed to take my leases, I wasn't really friends with them. They were just kind of like mutuals who I knew from another person, and they actually backed out of the sublease. They texted me like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't do the sublease anymore." And I'd already signed the lease in the fall, right? And so now I'm stuck with the whole year lease when I want to study abroad in the spring. And so I just started like trying to find people like figure out the situation, right? So I was like, okay, I found some other people, and then they were like, okay, we need you to sign at our other apartments. We have a plan for it. We have it figured out. And so then I went and called the people that I signed with, and I didn't read the agreement or like whatever I signed to. And to break out of the lease when you've already signed it, you have to pay 6 months worth of. Yeah. And so scratch that. I'll have to try and find somebody to, if you know somebody that will take the lease in this thing.
Right. So
yeah.
So what you just at the beginning of your pitch, if you could have just relayed that real story,
Okay.
just in a very concise way, it just would frame, the gravity of it for everyone as you led into the demo. Other question: how much harder would it be to get this to read an online terms of service that's been presented to you? You know what I mean? Versus having to cut and paste.
That was actually something I wanted to work on for this Friday. Where like right now, this browser extension, it's kind of passive. It's just there, you click a button. I want to see if I can to get it like actually like to interact with your browser and like maybe I don't know like highlight stuff in the text where it'll be like, oh, like it'll pop out and it'll actually like, you know what I'm saying, like be more interactive in here instead of having to take you to the website to do all of the different chats.
Is it grabbing the text, or do you have to copy it and paste it over?
It's grabbing the text on it.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
So if you click this like open,
Okay.
it'll automatically take the text on the website.
That actually makes it. That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think this is super cool too. And I think there's been some. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's been some. I've seen some things like this in the past at different times, but this is a new time where you can do things you could never do before. And so I think your idea is really helpful, and I think a lot of people, probably wonder what they're signing up for and would like to do this. And I think there's probably also some really easy things you could do to take it to the next level to make it even easier and more impactful. And first of all, it's just like take all the work out of it. Nobody really wants to read this or look at any of these things or really decide anything. I think what the real question is, and it's not even like, is this hostile? Because guess what? They're all hostile. The real question is this unusual? Right? Like, is this unusual for this type of thing I'm signing up for? Or does this look like all the others? I think that's probably like the real question I'd be thinking about. And at some level, that's like, you can use AI to just answer that. And you might be able to back it up with, here's why, here's what's in there that, makes it, unusual. That'd be really helpful. Focusing on consequences, like you said, like what happens if I cancel or things like that. Those are really good things to call out. But that was the first thing, is like less of the details and more of like, just give me the answer. Like, is this good, or should I sign this or not? Right. And then the second thing is you're kind of thinking about this very kind of, to me, like kind of Web3, like everybody crowdsource it, right? And everybody contribute, or everybody look at it as you go. But the thing is, like, these privacy policies are not personalized or unique. They're actually the same for everybody, and everybody goes to the same websites. And so actually, like, I would start by just having AI go and crawl all the most popular websites, look at their privacy policies, do the analysis, score and rank all of them based on what we just talked about, pre-compute all of these other things that you're talking about. And now you've got this whole repo and library, and you can do the comparisons and say like, okay, like this is standard or this isn't standard, and here's why. And just as soon as you get to the page, you should just be getting like a little thumbs up or thumbs down. Like, hey, this is normal, or like, hey, watch out, this is not normal, right? And you could kind of like have it do all of that. And then if you hit a page that it doesn't know, then you're like, hey, go grab this, right? So I think those are some like really easy ways to make it even better, where it's just totally automatic and it knows all the websites already. You've already read all the privacy policies or all the terms of service.
Josh, that's a cool idea. Like, if you took that one step further and gave them a rating, and then you might be able to actually, the only thing they're going to listen to if customers are saying, hey, I'm not going to use your service because I don't like what you're doing. If you went one step further and said, hey, we're now doing ratings of friendliness of these terms or whether you get screwed, that might be something that they actually respond to.
Yeah, like thinking about where to go from here, I think the general terms of service reviewer is too general. I like the apartment story. I would start with that and think about like, what would it be like to write, an honest landlord review system? And because in that case, when you're shopping for your apartments, you actually have some leverage. You can go somewhere else. Like the Apple terms of service, who cares? You buy it or you don't. And you could come up with what are generally reasonable terms and then flag that. And so, this could be a service that every student should use to review their lease, and then either they fix the terms or I go somewhere else. And you can see like a website where you rate the apartments and the friendliness, and I could see that becoming a niche service that you could roll out, and then later on maybe you sell referrals and stuff like that. But like, I have this problem, like don't sign a lease until it's reviewed. And in order to do that, I would have a best, so in corporate, there's usually a legal precedent which says these are the terms we'll agree to. And it shows when you vary from that. So I think I would start with what are reasonable lease terms, and then, roll it from there. I think that'd make a good demo. It's on target, it's explainable, it solves a problem, you can tell a story.
Perfect. Thank you all so much.
Good job.
Hey guys, my name is Soham. I'm a junior economics major. Can you guys see the screen okay?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so over this semester and through the various pictures I've seen with everyone, I've seen a lot of sports analytic tools, but specifically for mainstream sports like NBA, NFL. And what I realized from this is that to elevate a sport, these metrics have to be there. And the best solution, as someone who plays a grassroots sports, is bring this into grassroots sports. Enable players and coaches to analyze videos, send feedback to their players, and also create maybe a system where players can have statistics to help for future transfers if they were to introduce that in grassroots sports. And that's exactly what I built with the Core Room. This is a software for coaches and managers to manually review sports footage that's been uploaded on YouTube and share it to their players for better feedback and improvement of their sports. And I'll just dive straight into the demo to show you what exactly it is. So I'm going to go to a YouTube link right here, copy and paste the hyperlink, and open a new match. I'm going to start a new match, start analyzing a new match. Copy and paste the hyperlink, and it will automatically populate the name and the Team B name. We'll remove the final, and for this demo specifically, we'll just put a random date, and autofill both teams for now, just for the demo. And this could also be helpful for the manager in case they don't know the names yet. We'll dive straight into analyzing the game. This will come up with the main screen when you're analyzing the sport. There are 4 components to the screen. As you can see, the left-hand side, top one, is a YouTube player embedded into the software. Below it is the key buttons of when you want to analyze the sport. This software is specifically curated for the sport of Coco. You may not know what that is, but hopefully you'll get the sport as you go through it. But the software can be tailored to any grassroots sports, hence the purpose of it. The right-hand side is a live tracker of the score as the video progresses, and the bottom is event timeline. We'll quickly go through the video. I'll mute it. We'll play game starts, and we notice a foul just happened. okay, we're going to log a foul. It would be, let's say, player 5, player 4, had that foul and it was a direction foul, we'll save the foul. In this game of Coco, every time you make a foul, you lose half a point. Hence, if you check the scorecard, it's now lost half a point. We'll continue playing the game, see what else happens. As the game progresses, the chasing is a game of tag. The person in blue just got tagged out. I'm going to press tag. Again, player 2 got player 3 out, and that was a running tag and save tag. This populates on the right-hand side right here. And this is where it gets interesting. You can tag back into the event timeline, click that time, and it automatically play 4 seconds before the event, so a manager or coach can review the actual event that happened in real time. On top of that, you can also, let's say it's tag, you can also add a description for players to understand what to improve and what went well. This is the main software, and we'll get into some more features which have been built out. Once that is built, we can share it, and I'll show you an example which I've already analyzed the game. We can click share feature, share via link, copy and paste, and open a new tab, and you'll now get a view what players will see of the dedicated, what the coach analyzed throughout the game. The score at the top, various analytics below it, which should populate, which players had various statistics, and that's a good way of the players to track their various statistics. And the last thing I built, and the last interesting thing is then you can start analyzing with the back end here is adding player statistics to create a player profile and see which players have performed the best over a season. And this is very important for grassroots sports if they want to develop to the next level. The audience can start watching and following along to see which players are the best. And this is what I started building. Go to this page here. I've already inputted a list of players, jersey numbers, and teams. So hence, and I analyzed a few games, so you get a bit of data to show. We'll go to most survival time, so this indicates the best runner away. Here, the top person survived 1 minute and 28 when defending, and it will also show us during which game that happened and shows the specific moments where the coach analyzed where this player survived for 1 minute 28 seconds. And the whole premise of this is to ease and introduce the concept of analyzing into these grassroots sports. This is curated for the sport of Coco, but can very easily be configured to any of the grassroots sports like Ultimate Frisbee or any of the niche sports which you may not know. Thank you very much.
So I think it's a very understandable demo. I like the idea of like long tail sports where there's all these things that don't have the tools that mainstream sports have, and we're going to go build them. So I like all that. Like how it actually delivers value and grows from here probably depends on the domain, but I think this is a great way to start and show this to some people and see where it goes.
Yeah. I've currently spoken to a couple of people in this industry, especially this game, Coco. I play it personally. I'm from the UK, so I'm an exchange student from the UK, and this game started growing in the UK. So I've spoken to an organization who have a national league, and they'll be interested in buying the software and potentially beta testing it.
And it's very believable that like if you got traction on this, we're going to enhance with AI, so you have to do less annotation and all that. And a lot of these things are just like, can I get initial traction with a group that cares?
Mm-hmm.
And if that market's there, you can incrementally improve it.
I thought it was a good overview and build. I'm still not super clear on like who would actually use this, because it really does look like a fair amount of point and click and data entry and
Yeah.
who really is this for and what are they going to use it for?
Yeah, so the primary use case for this is maybe captains or coaches for the team who want to review their own team playing after a tournament's happened and see where their team can improve. And once that's done, once they built out this whole analysis system, they can share it with their players and they can go through the analysis and see where their coach said, this point is where you should improve, or this point is where you should improve. But also helps coaches. Let's say there's a public available data on YouTube, a bunch of various sports games from various tournaments of different teams. A manager from one team may want to analyze another team to see what their strengths and weaknesses are. And they can easily do this with software.
Did you try letting the AI watch the clips to see if it can auto score?
Not yet, but that's something that I'm thinking about how to do. I'm not entirely sure how I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to jump in on that one. I think and I think, this is great feedback for all of for many of you. And these are great solutions. I think we're really improving every week. What I see here is I like things that are really targeted at a specific market. Like, and this is being niche in this case is good. Like, you're going to build the best thing for this. But similar to the feedback on the last one I was giving, like, you need to like raise your expectations a lot of what the AI can do. Like, you're now just having it do what you could do. You know, you're like, okay, like, what would I do? And you're like, well, I now have to like click on this and move this. And like, it can do way more than that and way more than you could ever do, right? You can be like, watch all the videos, you know, like, and pull something out of them, right? Or like, do other things like that. And so just kind of like I was saying before, like, don't have each user look at each privacy policy. You go look at all of the privacy policies on the internet, right? You know, like, you can do that. Well, similarly here, yeah, like, don't make anybody watch the videos or like log anything. Like, you watch all the videos and log everything.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And you think the best way, I was thinking this through a few days ago, is that'll probably be a long-term solution. So once I get all managers and coaches, manually log it, and then I can train the AI on this data of where to look and how the AI should be training and looking for various stuff. So I was definitely thinking that, but maybe a year or two down the line, once I get users.
Why pick a minor, like, I love having this specific use case. Why not pick basketball?
Already exists.
The auto records and scores.
Most definitely probably already exists. Some kind of analysis tool.
This is where I'd say, I don't think, I mean, there's some very, very, very expensive solutions. But
There's
they're
a-
highly manual. And it's big money.
Good point. I just thought maybe there might already be competitors in that kind of industry, but if there's not, I'll definitely look into it. I was thinking Huddle, HUDL. You might have already heard that already. They're quite a big competitor in that space.
They're not as good as this.
Okay, good to hear. Thank you very much.
Could everyone see the screen well? Perfect. Hello, everyone. My name's Aaron. I'm a junior computer science major, and this is my MVP called Deal Scout. So before we get started, I want you guys to think about the last time you browsed used cars online. You very likely have scrolled through many different listings with varying prices, mileages, and years. It's honestly very hard to tell which ones are good deals and which ones are not. So the main problem is that most people either overpay or spend a lot of time comparing listings that they don't even fully understand. And this MVP, Deal Scout, helps people tackle that problem. It focuses on validating the idea of whether combining a simple browsing interface along with a price judgment tool helps users identify good and bad deals more efficiently. Without further ado, we'll get started with the demo. So as you can see here, the interface is very straightforward. We have some example listings over here, and for each listing, there's very detailed information, right? It gives you a quick conclusion about whether it's a good deal or not. As you can see, for example, this 2018 Honda Civic, it's a good deal. Also gives you a bunch of information like the year, color, transmission, fuel type, and what's even nicer, it's an accident history, as well as its listed price and mileage. And it also gives you kind of an estimated value to enable the users to compare against, right? If I click on the view deal analysis, right, even has a description for it, no accidents, very clean, and has the asking price from the seller, as well as an estimated market value. And after the computations, it concludes that it's a good deal. It's 19.8% below the estimated market average. Okay, very nice. And now I can look at a counterexample, right? Let's look at this one. It's a 2016 Chevy Silverado, right? This one has a pretty high mileage, over 100K miles, and it already gives you a warning sign here. Has a severe accident, right? This really kills the price and lists for you to compare against. Perfect. Now what's even nicer is that if you run into any listings on any other marketplaces like Facebook Marketplace or Carvana, what I can do is I can click on the right-hand corner to evaluate a listing. Right? I can manually type in the information. For example, I saw a 2004 Toyota Camry, right? And the seller's asking for somewhere around $15,000. And I see the mileage, we'll just put 65K. And let's say it has a mild accident, and I can go ahead and click on Evaluate Deal, and it's going to instantly tell me that it's way, way overpriced, right? It's involved in an accident, the year is 2004, very long ago, right? And tells you what's roughly worth and the asking price. So, and it tells you to either consider negotiating with the seller or simply avoid the deal. Perfect. So success for this MVP is that users should be able to quickly identify whether a deal is good or not instantly using this Deal Scout tool. And if the users can do that efficiently, then that means this MVP is successful. Some key improvements I made after the first prototype would be first adding in this nice filtering tool we can filter by deals, right? Good deals, fair deals, overpriced, as well as filtering by the car's mileage, prices, as well as what's good and bad about the deals. So yeah, this is Deal Scout, your ultimate safeguard against any overpriced second-hand car listings. Thank you very much.
It's a nice build. What do you think is the major distinguishing factor from other car sites that are available?
I definitely would say this evaluation tool is very helpful. It takes many factors into account, like especially like accident history, which can really impact a used car's price, as well as like the mileage and everything. So it takes many factors into consideration and helps the users compute a reasonable conclusion about whether this is a good deal or not.
So is it Kelly Blue telling me that some of those things available currently with car sites like eBay or CarMax or others?
Sorry, could you?
Really likely the estimated value of the vehicle or market value?
Not that I know of from like Facebook Marketplace. You really just see a simple listing, and this one, I would say takes these factors into consideration and kind of computes an estimated ballpark about what it's worth. So you can definitely avoid any deals that are potentially, scammy or just overpriced. Thank you.
So what do you intend to do next with this? Are you going to refine this one to get more, or what are your thoughts?
I definitely would fine-tune the price evaluation tool more to, I can add in more factors, right, about like, it could be like how many accidents it's been involved in, as well as other like external or internal factors about the car. So I definitely would fine-tune the tool more to help the users compute an even more accurate decision about whether a listing is reasonable or not.
So have you bought a used car recently? Have you used any of the existing systems?
Yes, in the past few years, my family has been browsing a lot of used cars. We have been to so many like car dealerships in person, and we have been through so many different websites, just looking through so many things. And I honestly think it's very chaotic overall, like experience-wise. So I wanted to.
Okay, so I bought a used car this summer. I think that the current websites do a pretty good job of this. Like, they'll come back with some price history. You can also go into the Kelley Blue Books for free and get wholesale, and you can get a lot of this information already. And so I think you should think about your car buying experience and say, like, well, what can't I do with the current sites? And because I think this is going to be very hard to distinguish this from like the Edmunds and the existing ones. They have these kind of features, and arguing that yours doing it better is going to be really hard. My experience was that once I got the list of cars, I then had to contact all the dealers because what was listed was often second party, and that really wasn't the actual deal they had. And so there's a lot of this annoying thing that happened next to get to the true, really what is they had a name for it, like the off the lot price or something. So I would think about, are there ways to use AI to go beyond what these kind of things can do and like get to the things that drove you crazy about buying a car? Otherwise, you're going to be trapped in something that's too incremental that Edmunds would just copy if you did it.
Thank you.
I noticed a lot of the typical car ride sites would have I want an SUV versus a sedan or number of passengers. Decided to forego all of those filters and colors, thinking that the user just wants the best deal surfaced. Is that the idea? Like they don't care what kind of car it is if it's the best deal.
That's definitely a factor for me to take into consideration to fine-tune later. But the core idea of this MVP is trying to help the user scout the best deals first. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Arushi Laki, and I am a third-year CS major. So right now, AI systems are making high-stake decisions, but when they fail, we still debug them in really fragmented tools. We have logs in one place, we have plots in another, and we have team decisions and chats in another place. For AI researchers and ML engineers, this creates a really painful gap because everything is really disconnected and fragmented. But we can fix this with Latent. Latent is a collaborative 3D workspace for model interpretability. So think Figma, but for neural networks. So for this MVP, I want to show 3 things. One, that we can render a transformer-style architecture as an explorable 3D space. 2, that we can anchor threaded comments directly to like model regions. And 3, that multiple users can collaborate on that same scene in real time. So what you're seeing right now is a schematic transformer with layout with 3 layers. So we can like look around, woo, whoa. So without getting too much into like the math and the details of it, just understand that over here, these cyan colored clusters are attention heads. So this basic attention head group, so this basically means this is how AI connects different words together. And then on the right, the purple clusters are MLP subblocks, which is how the AI processes concepts. And then these structural lines and frames make the layer boundaries and flow readable. So I can inspect the clusters directly in space. So when I hover, I can get like local context, and when I click it, there's some more context over here. And then I can make comments for my team to see on like hypotheses I have. So now we can simulate a real incident review. So right now I'm in this window as user A. Let me open another tab as user B, and you can see my cursor for user B there, and it's like a little collaborative workspace. So say as window A, I spot like, oh, there's some issue in this attention head, and I want to make a comment. I spelt routing wrong, but just ignore that. And then I can see that from user B's window, and I can reply. Pretend that says checkout, and then you can like delete your own comments. We can make more comments, and these are all spatial threaded comments. So now whenever I move around, I can see the comments, and they're anchored to associate with the cluster that I made the comment on. And then because of live blocks, I'm able to have multiplayer syncing, and I can see these comments from the other user's end. This is really good because now instead we no longer have to share screenshots or try to lose context over Slack or like debate which tensor slice someone was talking about whenever they sent some information, and instead it's anchored right into that region of the model. My target users would be mechanistic interpretability researchers, eval teams, and ML engineers. Latent would reduce the coordination overhead in failure analysis for these researchers. So instead of having like an issue in eval notebook or architecture in a separate viewer or like a discussion going in a chat, you can instead have like this one shared spatial workspace for model structure and discussion. In terms of like next steps, this is like a hard-coded example of like a transformer with 6 layers. So I would want to try to move this into like a schematic-only structure so that I could ingest real lightweight model data so that users can inspect live or sampled activations inside the same collaborative workspace. But yeah, thank you.
Wow, you really had me right from the get-go, as a really good description of the problem. You said Herbert can handle these three problems, and then the solution is to do this 3D spatial representation. The part where you lost me though, and forgive me if this might be my lack of understanding of the space or the subject, was why does I sort of directionally thought that 3D made sense, but I thought it might go in a direction where you'd say, okay, look, we're detecting a problem in this area, and let's go, we're going to go diagnose it, and here's how we're going to, or walk us through how the users, in the end, it looked like maybe it was a tagging mechanism, but where, is it not meant to do the problem detection? Or is it merely a way for a team to leave notes for each other in a 3D space? How does it solve the problem? Or am I missing something other than just the notes?
Yeah, I initially wanted it to help with like debugging purposes, but I wasn't able to come up with like a clear way for that. So as of right now, this is just to help with like communication purposes. That way everything isn't scattered and you're not just sending like screenshots of logs, and instead you can like visualize where errors are and people on the team can be like, okay, let's like split who's working on it or whatever. But I do agree that it would be nice if there was a clearer way for it to be like, oh, try to check out this place because there's an issue going on. I just think that's like more of like a research issue that I wouldn't really know how to assist with on like my own.
Well, then maybe, would this be possible? Like, we're detecting an error from this area. Is that how would the researcher know to go in and then leave? Isn't the root of all this to get to the location of
Yeah.
the error, decide what it is, and then you can share it with your team?
Yeah, now that you're saying this, I have like an idea of maybe how to do it. Like I know there's a tool called Sentry.io, which is an open source model that helps with developers to debug tools. I haven't used it before, so maybe I could try to check that out and see if that helps or something. But yeah, I can definitely look more into that.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
this is always a hard problem. Often, to get to the people that you want to show the technology demo that will understand it, you need to get through other people first. And to the extent you could talk about, well, this is the problem when you're debugging a model. You do these steps, and my tool does it better in some way. That's what you really need to get to a high level, so then people are like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Let me introduce you to my tech team to go look at it. You gotta get through the gate, So the closer you can get to it, like, hey, if you're in Hugging Face and you download a model and you need to like check its performance, you would use these tools and it would take this time. But now with this new interactive one, you can do it in half the time by looking at this. Like, that's the kind of story you want, and it's hard to do for technology like this. And if you do get stuck, one of the other ways you can do is by talking to people who are dealing with the problem and hearing their pain, then you'll have something to repeat. It's like, well, I would talk to these people, and when they download the Hugging Face model, they have this problem. And then the credibility is in that story of these other people who have this problem, so I'm solving this problem that they say is important. But this is always a challenging thing for these very technical solutions, is how do I frame it in a way everyone can understand the value?
And usually you can explain it if you have a little bit of a scenario or a story line to it that would step the user through it, like a person who doesn't understand this at a deep level like myself. Just say, okay, here's how a flow of how we would detect a problem, and then we can document it and then solve it together. Just in a basic way.
Yeah, and it's really important because you want TJ to understand the value, so then he'll introduce you to his technical team, right? And so if even if it's just like, hey, there's this thing, it's like, oh, we download Hugging Face models and they're always late. Like that might just be enough.
I always think, try to explain your business just like you're explaining it to someone who walked off of a bus and doesn't know anything about what you do or what you're doing. Keep it so that they can understand it, and then I think Eric's point, they may find a way to help you.
Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Varun Vidala, and today I'm going to demo AutoCard. So how many of you here have more than one credit card in your wallet? Wow, looks like a lot of you. What a surprise. Yeah, here in America, we love our credit cards more than any other part of the world, frankly. And it's hard to keep track of them. It's hard to see which one to use for what instance. Like, say you're at a restaurant, a bill comes in, what do? Oh, I have this credit card, I have that credit card. Oh, this category is in my rotating spend. I have to use this card, but I want this many points on this card. It can be very complicated and very hectic if you have a lot of credit cards. So that's why I built AutoCard, to use the right card at the right moment. So as you can see here, this platform essentially will look at where you are currently using your location, show you nearby businesses, and it'll show you where you can get the best deal on your credit cards. So say I want to show I have an Amex Gold and the Chase Freedom Flex, right? So right now this thing knows that we are in the Capital Factory area, has detected nearby businesses in the area, and will show what you can get the best deal on based off of what cards I activate in the wallet. As you see here, the Amex Gold, the Freedom Flex. So I click on this, it'll show there's this bonus boosting here with the Freedom Flex, as it showed in this tip here, and it'll also show the Amex Gold and compare, and give you very detailed instructions as to why, to make sure that the user actually trusts the product, of course. Along with that also, you can also adjust your location just to see what's in the area based off where your work is, where your home is, your place of employment, things like that, like school. And so here, why don't you guys give me an address, anything in the US, we can see what businesses are in the area, and you can see what card, we can see what optimal cards we can use.
You have an address?
Yeah.
Okay. 39
3924
Balcones,
BALCONES Drive. Right here? All right. So it'll detect nearby businesses based off of whether you live in a suburb, whether you live in an urban area, and detect whether it's walking distance or even if you need a car to drive or public transit even. So let's see what it finds. Well, looks like it's not available at the moment. We can try again shortly. But here we are. Anyways, here we can show you, you see this, and then it'll just give you random examples here. Say, it'll show you more things based off the things in your wallet. Along with that, here we have search. Here you can see just basic businesses, dining, groceries, gas, just to search for different businesses to be able to see what you'll get the best deals on, of course. Just to be able to search for a business is more open-minded, essentially. Any business in the world, just to see based off the categories it knows, using the internet, using OpenStreetMaps, things like that. So you can see, oh, okay, I can search for any business here based off where I'm going, where I'm wanting to go, just to see where I'll get the most optimal deal. Here in the wallet, you can see as we click on each of these, it'll show what your best deals are, how far you are to the annual fee to be able to break even, and also along with that factoring in an offer that you may have gotten as well, just based off context that you've given in the first place. So here you can see you can add, I've added this much money on here, so that means that I need this much spent to get the welcome offer. And along with that, it'll also show you, it'll adjust how much you can do to break even, of course. And here you can see it, you can track things and keep going along the way as we look at these different cards. But yeah, they have a variety of different stats just to be able to make sure that you're getting the best deals on your cards. Here in America in 2022, there was $40 billion of card spend, and there was $6 billion that wasn't even used, $6 billion of rewards. And that goes to show just how much of a bad deal that Americans have when using their credit cards. So I think it's very important that they get these insights. So speaking of insights, here you can also see your purchase history. Just to be able to see your behaviors, since we get so much data from people as they use this platform, you might as well give it to them to be able to find better deals, right? So here you can see the purchase history of based off what they've done, where they've spent money as it keeps track. And along with that, you can simulate the cards as well. Say we want to use the Sapphire Preferred, it'll show the simulation results of each things in your wallet to be able to show where you got the best deal, where you can get deals, how much money you would make off each transaction and things like that, just based off of all these different purchase history that you have, just to see if you can get the best deal. So you can add different credit cards in there. Say, oh, I want to get a new Amex Platinum. Based on my spending history on all of this, what can I get the best deal on here? So then you can see, oh, is this really worth it for me? And that's what this will tell you. Along with that, you can also, it's very flexible. You can add a lot of context. Say you're going on like a trip soon, you want to get a lot of travel points in your credit cards, right? So you can also adjust it for max value and travel optimization, and then it'll tell you accordingly, you can get this many points for this much, or this much cash back here based off for this card. And yeah, along with that here, it's very, very specific. You can see all the different possibilities of things that you could do, of adjusting in the settings. You don't have to detect nearby business if you don't want to. You can just use the search if you really want to. And along with that, you can also just emphasize, see what you care about, what categories you really want to emphasize based off your spending, which can be adjusted. And yeah, overall, I think it's a very customizable experience based off your own wallet. I mean, everyone uses their credit cards in their own ways, right? So it's very important to keep things very flexible. People may want cashback emphasis, people may want travel, or anything really. There's so many different credit cards out there. So it's very important to keep an open mind and give a lot of context to the user. So yeah, that's the main thing here. And this platform is really just meant to optimize your wallet more than anything and be able to use rewards that go unused. Thank you.
Sure. So I think this is interesting. I definitely have unoptimized credit card spend going on, and like one of the challenges is that you need to go log into sites and like click on things to like activate stuff, and it's just like one level of hassle. So if you could get rid of that hassle, I could see that having value. I mean, and then this turns into a combination of, well, what's the business model on this, and is Apple going to really let you take control of things? I mean, I'd almost envision, like, if I had a virtual credit card, which at checkout switched to the right one underneath based on optimization, maybe that would work, something like that. So I think there's a bunch of technical questions over how to actually do this. But I think a lot of people will agree that they're not auto-selecting all this stuff. And I think it would also be interesting to do a little bit of a study over taking some people's credit card history and finding out how much they could actually save to see how big of a market this is. But yeah, I think you're going to have challenges downstream over how you control the credit card too. So a lot of, I see the value, lots of challenges. This is interesting.
Yeah, thank you. I know I did look into that as well, looking into, say, like Apple and trying to see if they could integrate the wallet API, but they're very strict about that. I was like, imagine if it could just pick a card for you, right at checkout. That would be incredibly seamless if you get in all the context. But that does seem like something Apple could have in the future if they wanted to on their own, but does not exist. And sadly, I cannot tamper with the wallet API, but I really did want to try. And yeah, actually, here you go. It actually loaded all the businesses near you based off the address you gave me. So you can see all the optimal spending in the nearby areas. Yeah, awesome.
The idea is awesome. I think it's awesome for the reason Eric said. You have no idea what the right points card is the best. They have different offers and 5x on this, 2x on that, and we know that that drives a lot of incentive for people to sign up for credit cards. I'm not sure once it is signed up that they know which one to use.
Exactly.
Or what they can benefit from. So I think it's like a great use. It's a great use case. I thought you also did a good job all along the way in the presentation of explaining, let's say you're doing this, and then you have this benefit, and you made it, I think, really understandable. It sounds like there are some technical gaps that are going to be hard to overcome, but I wonder how far you could go and stop short. Like if let's say you don't get an integration to the Apple Wallet, maybe the app just says, hey, I can see that you're at Russell's. You should pay with the Visa that's in your wallet. Tell you that. Or and then you just go to the wallet. That would still be valuable from a monetization standpoint. This is one of those industries that's good when these cards spend like crazy to try to get new users to sign up for a card and use their card. And my head was spinning of like all the marketing offers you could get and back-end incentives and stuff to have cards become more visible in this app as a benefit. They want you to use that card on every site, and they want you to sign up for the card. There's a lot of marketing dollars available for stuff. So it's cool. I think you went through a lot of use cases. I think in your capper at the end just kind of trailed off. Maybe you're tired of talking about it. I would like try to crystallize it and say like, bring it home. You bring your demo home with like a really powerful closing statement.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank you. Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for all the feedback. I really appreciate it. I really do think this idea could go somewhere. I mean, there's so much. People use their credit cards. People are just too busy to even care about all these categories. Like, they need something to optimize. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is definitely a good idea. There's, there have been other things like this, and there's going to continue to be because there continue to be new ways to do it and new ways to save and to connect things. And also because there's a part of this that's the technology, and actually really this kind of TJ hinted at the end, this is really a customer acquisition problem. Like there's lots of different apps and ways to save, but what's going to likely actually make yours successful or not is how good you are at online marketing, not how good the app is. And that's just like the unfortunate truth of this space. There was actually a company in the Longhorn startup class called Tastebud that was a lot like this. They primarily focused on food. So they'd tell you which food places to go eat at as well. And what they were the first ones to do, but now is much easier, is they were the first ones to integrate with the MasterCard API. And so basically you would pair your MasterCard with your app. And so it could see all of your purchases. It knows where you shop. And now when you're somewhere, it can be like, hey, like this, they can kind of like re-incentivize you to come back. And actually the other really important part of that was they could actually measure their lift. Like they could tell if they made you go buy something because they could see the purchase. It was really cool. But then all those companies got really spammy because they just sold your data. So anyway, there's, that's kind of like a really interesting place where this goes and where, yeah, based on those things, you can just be popping up like what's near me I can go eat at based on my cards. I think this is a great idea. But again, what's going to make it successful or not is your marketing.
Right. Yeah, thank you. There's definitely a lot of compliance to work around with just in the industry in general. And just along with that, just being able to integrate with all these APIs. People are very strict in fintech, finance, but I do think that there's really a lot of use cases here. And yeah, thank you for informing me about that. That's really cool that they could integrate with MasterCard API. That just sounds, there's so many different use cases there.
One thing we didn't cover is how would you get the card data into the app in the first place? Is there a connection that you could have to log in, or like what Josh was saying, like is it flat, is it what? How do you get the card data?
It would maybe be through Apple Wallet, just being able to add the cards through there. And yeah, this is a mobile-first interface. I want to emphasize that. I think that's probably the best use case here for sure. Yeah, thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Bridget. I'm a sophomore finance major. And about 2 Fridays ago, like most business majors, I was having a great day. I didn't have any classes. I had a retreat for one of my orgs. I got brunch with my friends. And I thought I got all my assignments done. I was like, this is a great day. Except at 1 a.m., I realized I forgot to turn in my accounting assignment. So it actually wasn't that great of a day. And I even had it written down on my calendar. I was like, I wish that, I just forgot to check my calendar. I wish that my friends could just like automatically know what I'm supposed to do and shake me and yell at me and be like, get your assignments done. And so I can't program my friends to do that, but I can do the next best thing, and that is where Holler, the app I built, comes into play. So right now, I'm actually logged in as my dad, and if you just go to like, I'll start off with the calendar or tasks part. So at first, this just looks like a normal kind of calendar app. So as you can see, I can add a task that I want to do. So accounting homework, a little bit of a sore subject, and I can add the date that I want it done by, and then I can, the unique thing about this app is I can turn on accountability. So what this does is that if I have a friend on the app, I can actually select them to be an accountability partner. So before whatever this task is due, it will actually notify one of my friends who can then send a voice message or a text message to me. So I'm signed in as my dad, and I have myself as an accountability partner. So I'm saying 15 minutes before the due date, I want them to notify me. So now I'm just gonna log in as myself. And as you can see, I can see all of the like overdue tasks that I should have notified my dad for right here. So if I want to send him a notification, I can just tap to send a holler right here, and I can either record like a voice note, so I could just, okay, sorry, I'm like using the microphone on the Zoom right now, so that won't work. But I can also send like a text message that will automatically go to him. So it says, hey John, this is your accountability partner checking in. I'm not letting you off the hook with this one, get it done. So very serious. So basically, what this does is rather than just writing down your tasks like in a normal notebook or to-do list, you're actually having your friends send you messages to hold you accountable. So it can be fun. I added the voice recording because I wanted them to be able to send like funny messages to you as well. And then looking at some of the other features here, the tasks here, there's like a quick add task where I can just type in do dishes tomorrow 9 p.m. And as you can see, I can go over to the calendar here, and tomorrow at 9 p.m. it has do the dishes. So this actually is like much easier than your average like Google Calendar or something like that where you have to put in all the dates. It can automatically do it for you. Now I'll actually show you what happens when you receive like text that you should give someone a holler. So this was something that was actually pretty difficult because I originally wanted the app to automatically send them SMS notifications, but I feel like a lot of people have talked about that's pretty difficult to like get verified. So I went to WhatsApp instead. So I can show you from the past. I actually had one go off while I was up here. John missed accounting homework. Open holler to send him a nudge. So right now, I actually haven't published the app because I'm iterating on it for my final project. But ideally, when I publish this link would lead to holler, where I would open it up and automatically send him a holler. So those are the main features there. Like I said before, on this Friends tab, you can add your friends who you want to send a holler to. And then it also shows you, once you add enough tasks and people watch over you, like which friends have been the most successful in helping you remember your tasks. So that kind of incentivizes your friends to send you messages as well. So hopefully the future of my accounting grade is looking bright if I use this. But yes, thank you.
Nice overview. My first reaction is, I wonder how many students are glad that your mom doesn't have this app. Reminders all the time. Tell me more about the accountability partner angle to this. Otherwise, it seems just like a task list, like in Google, are pretty common right now. Tell me more about the accountability aspect and why you're attracted to that.
Yeah, so the idea here is that it's really easy to like not see a notification from like your calendar or something. Like I'm sure you get like Google Calendar notifications all the time. However, if your friends are repeatedly texting you, that's something that you're more likely to look at because that's somebody you know. And so at least for me, that's the way I feel. It's easier to like block out notifications from like little apps or little notifications rather than a direct text message or like voice message from one of my friends. And so you can actually add more than one friend. So if you're being bombarded, like before you're supposed to sign or do an assignment by like 10 different friends, then you're less likely to forget it. So it's actually them like virtually being like, get it done, get it done, get it done. So that was the idea here, is that like your friends can hold you accountable. Not as the app is right now, but it seems like it would be a great idea. It could be misused, yes. But
So I guess there's a couple thoughts on this. One, there's the whole social dynamics of other people and getting them involved in your life and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, I think that's all fine. I think what I would add next to this would be an AI assistant. I essentially have this running on top of my son's graduation. And so first off, you can get a Canvas user API key.
okay.
And so you can go and then see when all your stuff's actually due, and if you submit it or not. And you could run an AI assistant loop to actually watch if your accounting homework was submitted or not, and then message you. I have it running with my son on his job application. So it sees when he applies for jobs, it sees if he followed up with them. So I think I would think about how you remove the hassle on other people. And yeah, it can just check, and if you haven't accepted something yet, and it could just message you on WhatsApp. And so there's a bunch of stuff that just a simple AI assistant could do, which is just a prompt in a loop. But yeah, monitoring that you submitted all your homework, I think an AI could do that. And I mean, people get busy, you miss things, right? So why not have someone do that?
That was one of the things I was thinking about as well, is like, why would your friends really care if you submitted your homework? But I was trying to think of how to make it almost more like a social network to like incentivize people to, like right now I kind of have the leaderboard, which it's hard to see because I only have like one friend up here. But I was trying to think of ways to get people more like the buy-in.
I think if we talk about a fun app, I think you would split these from things I have to do, like filing my taxes, and that and motivational stuff. So I think like the motivational stuff, which we've had some other presentations on, you'd want to get your friend circle involved. We're on this journey together. We're making sure we work out or we do that. So I think, hey, yeah, that's this. I think the did I submit my homework is an AI nag bot.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it meant to be for a certain audience? Is it meant to be for students?
Yeah, so the original thought was students, like young people with large social networks and a lot to do. So whether that be young entrepreneurs who I know have like a lot of random tasks, and students as well. Thanks.
All right. I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see. Where are we?
Okay, well, Josh, get set up. How's everyone doing for, I guess, our final thing Friday? Anyone stuck? It's all going totally awesome. Everyone's got an awesome idea. All the tech just works. The AI is super easy. Yeah, and I'm not sure I'm convinced. So I do have office hours on Thursday, which is like the night before. I know everyone wants to wait until Thursday so they do something. So office hours are on Canva. I'm here after class today. Yeah. But if anyone's stuck on the tech, I mean, there's a bunch of people working on it. Now's a great opportunity to make some quick other students connections. If no one's stuck, everyone's all working. They've done it 4 times. I guess your job's done. Starting a business is going to either piece that left. Okay, we'll tell the TA it's a great artist. Yeah, finally, let's make sure they're there. You all ready, Josh?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome. So I sent everybody a WhatsApp. So this is hopefully a good reminder to get on the WhatsApp. Yeah, sorry, this is so small. You don't have to read it. Look on your phone. And it's got, I'm making it bigger. Here we go. Really big. So last week we were I'm going to ask you guys for a minute for feedback about Stingy. I've got my own. I've found it to be marginally useful, but not that useful, but would love more feedback and how we can make it better. And then last week someone said, hey, can you share some of your workflow with me? And so I've been working on that a bit, and I think I've got some stuff to share. And so a lot of it was based on multi-POV. And if you really want, you can rip out multi-POV out of what I gave you and probably make your own thing out of it. But basically, what I did is I turned multi-POV into a MCP server as part of the service, which the service, even though it says it costs money right now, it doesn't charge you any money, it's free. And so you can sign up on the website and you can get an API key. Tomorrow you'll be able to sign up completely from Claude, but I'm working on that still. but you can get an API key, and then once you get the API key, you can then run things from your Claude, and it will, or actually should be able to work from any other server if you connect through MCP. I just know how to set it up easily from Claude. And then you can tell things to review your documents, to review your code, give you feedback, rewrite things like that. And it will go through multi-POV. It will use the 1,000 different personas that it has to pick from, and you can pick from them. And those credits don't count against yours when they run through there. So that's the basic idea. And so now if I switch to my window here, you can see I've got Stingy Guard enabled as a reminder. So when you start, if you turn on Stingy Guard, then it watches your code and it will tell you sometimes like things to make it better. This is occasionally has told me you should clear your console. That's about the only useful thing I found. I don't really worry as much about some of these other things like rationing or cheapest route. So I just haven't had as much of a chance to, or budgeting. So I haven't had as much of a chance to use these. I'm hoping some of you might try them out. And then Stingy Burn is kind of cool. And then Stingy Audit is good. That like looks at your session you've been doing and says, here's how I could do it better. And then the one other thing I did that was useful was Stingy Slim, which goes and looks at your Claude file and just suggests how to make it more efficient. So if I were you, you would install this, you'd run Stingy Slim first and say like, what can I do to make my Claude file more efficient? And then you set Stingy Guard to be part of your Claude file so that like every time you start up, it runs Stingy Guard and it's watching. And then when you're thinking about doing something big, you might go run like Stingy Route or something else. And Stingy Ration, I haven't used much, but that's for like exporting it out to somewhere else when you're out of tokens, which someone else suggested during class. So I'm going to ask you a little bit for feedback about those. But first, I want to show you some of these tools. And so if I now come in here, I mentioned some of my workflow. So I have all these review commands, and these all kick off multi-POV over the MCP server now. And in the public, there's a public repo in there with documentation, and it'll give you these slash commands. And some of them are just very simple wrappers around multi-POV where it tells it kind of like a prompt of what to go do. And so normally in my process, I'll be building something, and the first thing I'll do is write a plan. And so then I'll be using review plan, and I'll be pointing it at the doc, sometimes at a PRD, like I was like review plan space, the doc name. You know, sometimes if it's in its own planning mode and you just say review plan, it's going to look at the last plan that it wrote. And it's going to fan it out to all these different reviewers and also across all the different models, and then give you this consolidated report back with a list of action items and suggestions prioritized by how critical they are and by how much consensus there was among the agents, and let you decide what you want to do to fix it. And I do that very iteratively. Like I run the thing, and then I accept all the changes, and then I run it again, and then I accept all the changes, and then I run it again, and I accept all the changes again. And like I kind of do that 4 or 5 times. It's usually complaining at me, going like, "Don't do this. We already did this 4 times." I'm like, "I know. Do it again," because you find more stuff, and because I'm a little less credit worried. So anyway, that's review plan, and then the next one I'm usually using is review pipeline. I think there might be a better name for this. Review pipeline really says review the code we just wrote that we're about to commit. So this is what you do after it writes the code. You run review pipeline, and it's going to go analyze basically just the commit, like the difference in the code that's there. And again, look at it from a bunch of different agents and different perspectives. In this case, they're going to be primarily technical because they're looking at code, depending on what it is. And then give you, again, a list of suggestions and feedback to go fix the code, which you then can do iteratively. And then there's a few other things that are just kind of like common wrappers around it. So review all is like review everything. That's like do a whole code base review from scratch. So obviously that's big. Review tests basically says, review my testing infrastructure. Look at what kind of tests I have in place, look at my test coverage, and suggest what kind of tests I should go right, including unit tests, smoke tests, and integration tests, all different types of tests that help you test at different places and allow you to set up continuous integration. Basically have a set of tests that run every time you publish. So you make a bunch of changes and it runs all the tests and, you know, tells you if anything broke. And that's what I do with all my things. And that's part of how I could never do this with all this automation if I wasn't doing continuous integration. And then review scaling, which is then going to basically look at it from the perspective of like the question I ask is, what are the next 10 things that are going to break as I get lots of people using this, right? And so that's going to look at, you know, database performance. It's going to look at locking. It's going to look at connections and threads. It's going to look at how many things fit on a page. It's going to look at all kinds of things like that. Then review security, kind of obvious, but it's going to look at the security of your app from a few different perspectives, including obviously in particular prompt injection, which is a really big issue with these types of apps. So it's going to in particular look at all those types of things. Review performance. It's basically just say, how can I make this fast without making it dumber? That's really the prompt. How can I make this faster without making it dumber? And particularly focus on making the user experience faster is usually what I tell it. And then review reliability, which is basically look at how this is going to work over time. And is it going to keep running? And is it going to self-repair? And is it going to notice if something's wrong? And is it going to be robust? And it's going to look at it from an ops perspective, a DevOps perspective, and give you that kind of feedback. And then finally here, actually two more, prep multi-POV. That is basically something you run at the beginning of a session that just says, make sure everything's working. You notice actually I have a lot of these prep commands, right, for all the different things that I might want to set up or work with, and it helps make sure they're all working. But I'm going to say prep multi-POV. And so we'll start running that. And then there was also down here a visual review. I need to push that out. That's a good one too, because that's not currently in the public thing I just pushed. But what that does is that's particularly focused on looking at things visually. So you can give it a website, you could give it a PDF, you could give it an app and it will click through the app, or an iOS app and it will click through it. But it's designed to look at the visual user interface and layout of things and accessibility and usability, whether people with disabilities can access it. It looks at all kinds of things like that. And so that's also a really useful piece of my toolkit. So as I'm building things, it's like I write a plan. You know, I like have an idea, and it's I don't have to write very much, and I'm like, throw it out. I write a paragraph, and I'm like, make me a PRD. And it'll usually ask me a couple of questions, and I'll be like, go. And it writes it out. And then I'm like, okay, now review the PRD, review plan. And it reviews it. And it asks a bunch more questions. So it comes up with a bunch more things. And then I'm like, okay, now write an actual design. This is how it comes up with the steps. I would have made them up. So then it writes basically just a more detailed plan than the PRD. And I review that a bunch of times. And say, okay, now make an implementation plan. That's it. Again, I just picked this up from it, but that's the next step in the process. So then it writes an even more detailed implementation plan. I'm like, review that a couple times. Then I'm like, okay, write the code. And if you actually do a whole bunch of those before you get there, by the time you write the code, it actually like works pretty good the first time. Like there's usually some bugs, but it's like, it kind of like, and you run this review pipeline on it and it's finding all the bugs like before you do. And so you do that a whole bunch of times, and I'll do that for like 6 or 7 hours of like just never looking at any results. Just like plan, code, review. And then I finally like unveil, like look at it. And it's usually pretty good. Like, I mean, and that's like one day, like to get from, and if you do it that way and you go through all these steps and you're reviewing scaling and testing and all this other shit, at the end of it, like you've got something like pretty robust. Like it's pretty good. So yeah, that's what's up. And I tried to give this to all you guys. So try it. It probably won't work, but tell me, email me or post on the group and I'll try to make it work. And again, it's free right now. There's some limits. You can't just use it all day long. Like it'll limit you. There's some rate limiting. But if you use it a lot, I'll probably give you more. It's kind of like the other stuff. Like I kind of want people to use it right now so I can get feedback on it, learn about it. And again, if you give me feedback on it, I'll let you use it more. So I'm going to switch because I can't see you. And
Hey, Josh, a couple questions.
if you have questions.
Couple questions.
Yeah.
First one is on the repetition thing, like you have it run hours and hours and hours. What do you mean by that? Are you just having it repeat?
Yeah, like each run takes like 10, 20 minutes maybe as you get going and you have a lot of code and a lot of things it's checking, right? You're having it do a lot of stuff and it's looking at it all these different ways. And so for me, like that's why I generally have like 4 or 5 things I'm doing at once. Like typically I have 2 computers, so like and logged into 2 different cloud accounts. And I'm like, each of them is using like a different credit system. And one will have 3 or 4 windows open and another will have 3 or 4 windows open. And I basically just like, am like, I feel like a chess player and I'm like, playing like 7 chess games at once. And I just like go through the windows and like, as I get to the next one, like it's done from whatever it was doing last. But I'm not really doing anything. I'm just dispatching agents. I'm like, all right, now you go do this. Go to the next one. All right, yeah, you go do that. Look at its suggestions. Yes, go do all of those. And so yeah, like I mean, a really productive session for me is I'll have like 4 to 7 projects going at once, and I will be working on them simultaneously all day, and I will get a shitload of stuff done. And then a lot of times one of them, like that's what's fun. And when I'm trying to make myself get real work done, one of them will be just Mikey, and it'll be like prompting me through my to-do list in my email. And so again, as part of the rotation, I can be like, all right, go do an email, and then go do another one. I'm like, all right, go do an Asana task. All right, I go working and come back. And same thing, like those things it does things really well, but it still might take it 5 minutes to do something that would take you 2 minutes. Like it's slower, but except you don't have to watch it. So it's not slower because you just like type something and move on, and then come back. And in that way, it's not slower at all. Yeah.
Cool. And then does everyone understand how to access this with the WhatsApp message? Is it Git? How do you share?
There's very little code because it really just is an API that it's telling you how to use. But yeah, the hooks to go do it and the skills that give you those commands are published in a GitHub, a very simple GitHub repo, which works for me, but I'm not really in a good position to test. So I'd love to hear if can somebody test it right now? Like, see if it works. I would love to, anybody, does it work? It really should only take a minute or 2. You might have to restart Claude, It doesn't cost you. No, it doesn't actually make you pay. It just says that. It just says it costs money, but it doesn't. It doesn't actually ever ask you to pay. It will someday, if I don't like you. So, any questions? Was that at all useful? Would anybody use that, or is this no, not useful? Yes, I want to use that. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about people who are going to do it in Claude. I can't stare you down as easily from here. Pretend I'm staring at you. I see a hand.
Yes. What personas does it use for those when you run those commands, and how many of them? Is that
Sure, that's a good question. Let me see what I can show you here. So I'm going to share my screen again. So most of the time, what you're going to be using is like if you're using it this way and you're using it with code, you're going to be using a lot of pretty standard reviewers because they're the ones you want all the time. It's like the staff engineer or like the testing engineer or, you know, I had it. Oh, it's in here. That's all. Can you see this now? Someone say something because I can't see you. Yeah. Okay. So, so you come here, go to personas. Oh, we're back to the assembly. It's not really what it's supposed to show. All right. Well, anyway, right now it's showing you all of them, which is not supposed to show you all 3,500 of them. So you can see there's a lot actually available. But that's because I'm logged in, I think, even though it says I'm not logged in. Let me try this again. Nope. That's just how it is. But yeah, basically you can come here and you can search lots of them and you can see all the people that I do have. I'll also fix this. But in particular, we want like professional. I lost the whole thing. So, no, that's not it. Well, it's not showing me here, but there is a way, and actually, well, let's just go switch back to the code, because I think you can do it through here. So, what personas are available from multi-POV? Because now it's an MCP server, so like it should just be able to like talk about it. Now you're seeing all the ones I can see, which is all of them, which is not what you're all supposed to be able to see. Let me see. Show me just the public ones. So again, this is now because it's an MCP server. You all should do this exact same thing. You're connected to multi-POV, and it knows, it understands what its objects are and what it can do. And so now you could say, what did it give me for public ones? All right, this is definitely wrong. It's only supposed to be like 1,000 ones, but which ones would be good to review my code? The ones I suggested: the staff reviewer, the security reviewer, the test reviewer, the DevOps reviewer, the auditor reviewer. So these are very standard ones you'd want for every kind of review like that. And then it brings in, here's some platform specific ones that you might bring in for if you have cloud stuff or your front end stuff or iOS stuff or machine learning or databases or cybersecurity or data privacy, right? And then front end. User perspectives are really valuable. And that's where it's got all these different types of people that it'll bring in and say like, including it has like first time user, which is very generic, but then it'll also have like firefighter or like police chief or like, you know, like just different people that it would bring in that would only bring in depending on what you're doing. So like, you know, like on one of the apps we saw, it might have like, you know, like car dealership owner, you know, and that might be one of the people that it brings in.
Josh, you froze up, but I don't know if you could refresh or maybe show.
Okay. How about now? No?
I think you're so left, and
Well, was it sharing before at all? You just let me talk all this by myself without nothing happening? All right. But I was just explaining, you can type in all of these questions into it and say, who should I talk to, or things like that, and it'll suggest them, and then use them. So you could, the list of personas is browsable through Claude, through MCP.
Quick question. How's it collecting data for those specific people? Like, how does it know that?
So you're only supposed to see the 1,000 generic ones because I'm still figuring out like what the correct like legal and privacy things are for impersonating people with AI, which every AI does, right? You can be like, talk to me like you're Trump, and it'll do that, right? So clearly everything does it, but I'm just trying to make sure I do it right. So there's about 1,000 that are generic, which means they're not actually a real person, but they're like a role, right? They're like SBIR granted writer, or nonprofit lawyer, or, security aerospace engineer, right? And a lot of times it'll actually have a fake name and a whole like where they went to school and like a whole story about them. But basically these are fake people, like personas that I've created over time with the AI, modeling out all the different kinds of people that they'd want to talk to and giving them their perspectives and knowledge beyond what's in GPT. And then the individual people work in a similar way, put them into two buckets. Like half of them are public figures where there's actually often a lot of public record videos, transcripts, other things that you can access to see how they talk and what they think, and and really use to make a good model of them. And they're very well published. And then other people are much more obscure, but maybe I have personal communications with them, right? Like emails, calendar, text messages. And I've used all of them to create the models. And the models of people, like, it's not pulling out any personal information from the text messages. Like, it's not like it knows, like, I mean, not even like I know what would be in there, but it's not like but it knows how they talk. It knows like what their expressions are. It knows what's important to them, what their values are. It knows like key expressions or important things they say. And so when you talk to them, it sounds like them. And then what it's doing is it's really all of the story behind it, all of the persona is just training the AI to look at it from different perspectives. And again, you're kind of like focusing a lens. Think of it that way, and it's just like the lens can do a lot of different things, but if you just try to make it do everything at once, it's diluted. And when you focus a lens, like a magnifying glass on one spot, then you get this like really concentrated punch, right? And so what we're doing is we're like focusing the lens in a bunch of different ways or a bunch of different lenses so that we're hitting it hard, but from different places, right? As opposed to hitting it medium from everywhere, and the value of that is getting these more extreme views that you can compare to bring out different things that are going to make it better or make you notice things. And I find I'm finding this to be extremely effective. Like every time I do it, it's revealing, it's helpful. It makes me want to put everything through it. And also I feel like this is why, this is how I can build things really, really fast, is because it scales. Like it can do this across the whole app, at once. And so, yeah, it can do it at great scale.
Just a quick follow-up. So, for example, I was doing a demo on their website, and I saw like Jay Hartzell's name pop up. It's like, one, I don't know if that's actually Jay Hartzell or is that like a name you gave it in a role. And then two, it's like, how do I know?
No, it's like actually Jay Hartzell. Like I know Jay Hartzell.
But the information and data that's going in to give this persona of Jay Hartzell, how do I know like how much information Jay Hartzell is using the AI itself? Like if there's a speech or an article online with his name on it, I'm sure he's probably using some sort of AI tools to help them write the documents, make some formatting?
Lately, I mean, that's a bigger problem in the future than the past. Like, not really. Most of the documents, most of the things that are out there right now are not written by AI. Right? Because most of it's not written in the past.
Give it different ratings of like an article online versus like a real conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, I mean, some of this is kind of like, there's not much secret sauce you can have, but some of this is the secret sauce. But yeah, it's like really detailed. It looks at their speech patterns. It looks at their core values. It looks at their life experiences. It like looks at, and I developed this model over time with the help of the AI of like, how do we model someone and how do we capture them in a way that allows it to be useful? And then at the same time, you have to understand that it doesn't actually know anything like that he knows that everybody else doesn't know, right? Like it knows what the LLM knows, which is a lot. And then I'm able to give it deeper knowledge on specific areas, which usually means more current knowledge because the LLM might not know the past 6 months. And so if you want it to be really smart about legislation or about something happening in the news or things like that, like with the chat, I had to tell it to go basically like read the news before it does the chat. So that the people in the chat know like what just happened. And otherwise you'd ask them about something that you would think they would know about. And they'd be like, I don't know about that because my model got trained 6 months ago and I only know about things from 6 months ago. But anyway, so yeah, so I have the ability to like make it both smarter. Think of it as like two buckets, like try to make it more realistic, which is like make it sound like the person. That's like tone, voice, and values. And then there's like, make it more knowledgeable, like make it an expert at something, make it really smart, make it know current events. And that's feeding it knowledge. And those are two different behind the scene things I'm building that's part of why it was important to actually expose it as an MCP server and not as code. Because I'm not open sourcing it. Like if I just gave out all the code, everybody could just copy it easily and make their own, and it would get very messy. But I'm just giving away the MCP, the interface to it, but nobody sees the actual definitions of what the agents look like and the brains behind them. They just see the output of it, like what they say, what they do, but not what makes them an agent. I can't really see hands, so any other questions?
I'm just trying to get it set up really and test it out for myself. I'll just call it one button.
Thank you.
I'll just call it one button. The copy button for your API key isn't working. I created an API key and tried to plug it in. Then I realized I don't have access to go back and copy it anymore because you didn't copy in the first place. So that's something you can fix.
Can you delete it, make a new one?
Yeah, I did. I just made a new one and then copied it myself. Like I just dragged
Okay.
it to Control C, but your copy button
Awesome.
doesn't work.
Well, that's exactly the kind of feedback we need. Can anybody get it to work? Did anybody try Stingy? Yeah? Did it tell you anything?
Oh, yes.
But it was stingy. It didn't tell you much. Well, yeah. Yeah, feedback welcome on that one too. I think it's going to have to give more suggestions to be useful.
It's a lot of output when I did Stingy Burn. It's like a lot of text. I would say maybe ask it to shorten it. Because there's a lot of things
That's
that
good.
I don't necessarily care about.
Yeah, that's good feedback. Thanks. All right. Well, I think we have one more demo, which is Everett, if he's here. And he can tell you what he's been doing with the iPad walls. And then for anyone who wants to go see it, maybe we can get a demo.
Okay, cool. me and kind of told me about this idea that he had for developing kind of this one animation display for all these iPads that we have in the elevator bank on 5. And obviously they're all their own separate devices, so there isn't really a way for them to kind of understand relation to space and then kind of be able to display the same image or a combined image together. So I worked using Claude pretty much to vibe code a system in Xcode that would allow for these iPads to all kind of be captured in an image and then be able to be posted up on a web server and understand the relation of where they are in space. So pretty much how this works is we have about, per wall, about 20 iPads. There's about 3 different walls. And what I did was I first built a web server where you could display all these different devices. They connect to it. And then it would just get locally hosted on a Mac Mini that we have down on 5, or it can just be, right now it's being hosted on my Mac Mini. And pretty much from there, all the devices would connect to the web server, and then through an Arturo code, basically you would click scan, and then all the devices pop up with something similar to a QR code, and then you take a picture with your phone, and then they're all able to map and understand relationally where they are on the wall. So you're then able to have something like this, and this is also what an image of the scan looks like. So pretty much I would then take a picture with my phone. It pops up on all these iPads with this little almost QR code looking image, and then I take a picture, and then it's able to then map them like this perfectly all over the room and understand exactly where they are in relation. Through that, you're then able to also have a room layout system. Obviously, that's not what the room looks like, but then you're able to have a room layout where you're able to assign where they are so that you're able to then have it scan through the entire thing. Then you're able to have different animations that all display something differently, and then when you interact with one iPad, that'll say it's looking at you, it'll detect your face, and then it'll display it throughout the whole room and do a whole display. Yeah, so this is kind of what it looks like. This was about 2 weeks ago, and I've added some moon animations since then. But pretty much, if you look at like the center iPad, you can see how it's kind of bigger. It basically would just pan throughout all of them there, and then it's basically able to. So you see that, and then it's able to expand evenly throughout the room. And yeah, that's basically what I built. Yeah, Josh, I don't know if you have anything to add on to that or any. What are you going to do next week? Yeah, so the next thing I'm going to do to it is probably make it so there's more animations, work on the rendering system for it. That would probably be the next part. It's pretty power intensive still, so it's like, it would probably be work on that. And then probably keep the UI of the controller, make sure that it's then stably hosted on the Mac Mini downstairs, and just clean up like little bugs and stuff. When the server disconnects, sometimes there's some weirdness with the animation going throughout. It sometimes bugs out a little bit. So fixing that. But yeah, I think for the most part, clean up bugs, make it easier for the user experience when it comes to the web controller. Those kind of Yeah. So pretty much what it's doing is, so the shading's through Metal, and then it's just Node.js server, go through HTML, and then basically the rest of it's written with Python, and then uses like a vision framework for the basic touch.
So, can you talk about what some of the biggest challenges you've had with getting it up? Because you actually had it working very quickly. Like there was you had iPads connected and doing stuff, and then it's kind of stopped for a few weeks. So talk about that. Why was that hard?
Okay, so yeah, like I had this thing working on maybe like 4 iPads within, I was able to get this thing like working pretty quickly. But then kind of
Actually, just let me remind everybody, I came up with a plan for it. Like I wrote the PRD and I like had an idea and it wrote a bunch of code, but I never ran the code. And then I handed it to him and I said, go figure it out. So of course that code was not working or anything. And it was really interesting to see how quickly he was able to take it and make it real.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, like biggest challenge was then like having it be hosted on like 30 devices versus 3 devices.
Why?
Because what I started to find out was that there were certain things I didn't think about, like rotation, because in our space they're all rotated differently. The way that it's expanding throughout space, I like figured out it was like disappearing quickly. It would glitch out once it reached like more than like 10 screens. There were like performance problems. Like once I started to expand it to more and more devices, I started to run into more problems that I wouldn't have been able to figure out on just testing on like 4 or 5. And then once I was able to identify those, it was pretty quick to fix them. I mean, the biggest issues that came beyond the technical aspect were more like issues with working with like Apple developer account and like Xcode itself, rather than like, hey, I'm having trouble using Claude to then solve this problem, or I'm having trouble identifying this within my code X, Y, and Z. A lot of the problems that I'm like facing or still facing are more things that I have to deal with Apple and account rather than.
So yeah, talk about that more. I mean, those were the big delays.
Yeah. So I don't know how many of you have worked with Xcode, worked with TestFlight, and trying to deploy or test an app. So first time kind of doing this for myself, there's more hiccups in it than I thought, and I got a little more excited. I was like building this thing really quickly. It was going great. I was like super excited to test off. I'm like, it's going awesome. Like we're gonna have this for South-by. It's gonna be amazing. And then I'm like, I'm here till 12 a.m. 2 nights in a row. I'm like working away trying to get them to like set up for South-by, and it's like I'm fighting with trying to connect them to our Apple account 24/7. So what I learned, okay, there's a bunch of different stages within how you're deploying to testing, right? So you have internal testing, where it's like this is internally within people who are authorized within your Apple developer account. And so with that, per account, you're only able to have up to about 30 devices. So with how our bank works downstairs, those are obviously open to the public. So I don't want to sign in with my personal account, because then that Apple account is going to, that iPad's going to have access to all my stuff. So, you know, what we got right now is we have one account where it's like, okay, there's nothing on there. If someone were to like touch the screen, it's not going to go. So internal testing works for us. External testing, you're now able to expand people outside of just your Apple developer account authorization. So like, I could send it to TJ and authorize him, and then he could sign on, and he gets an allotment of about 30 devices. So the biggest thing to like now get this to expand to the rest of the wall is just like, I need another Apple developer account that works and doesn't have anything like important on it, and can just use this like a display element.
So these kind of logistical things with getting it deployed that you never would have thought of.
Yeah, never would have thought of. And there's just, I think like the biggest lesson I got out of this is like your development when you're actually building something like might go super well, and then when you hit that next aspect of like, okay, now I'm trying to deploy this, and now it's like the bureaucracy of actually having to get it out. That's where like a lot of the hiccups actually started to be. And I think that's the part that I underestimated. And I mean, you hear that many times, and it's like a story of old time. So, yeah.
Can't overstate that.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. And filling out forms, and then they go off, and you wait, and then
Yeah.
we connected the Google Workspace through OAuth. It took like, we had to go through some certifications for 3 months.
Yeah.
We got our Microsoft connectors done last week, and we're sitting there waiting for them to verify that we own our freaking URL.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times when you're submitting stuff to Apple, it's like they'll say maybe it'll take 24 hours. I've had times where I'm waiting on this and it's worthless. Like there's no ability to bet on like when sometimes, especially when you're working with these bigger companies and you're trying to deploy to something on their side. There's no telling sometimes when you'll actually get authorization.
No, that's it. Just good project. All right, well, I think that's pretty good for this week. Eric, you want to talk about next week? You want to talk about, Eric, you want to talk about next week at all? What to expect?
Is it the same 6 demos again? The same 6 demos? Like just six people are chosen to demo? Well, what we thinking? How many? So you're gonna pick 6 ones for next week, and no one knows who that's gonna be. We're gonna walk in and it's gonna be a lottery. Yeah. Is that the last spot?
Wait, is final demo day next week?
Yeah.
How is that possible? Is it already the end of the semester? Oh my gosh. I don't know why all right, Eric, sorry. I don't know why I said you should talk about next week. Sorry for putting you on the spot. That was like, I was thinking we were adding one more in between. Holy crap.
On Canvas, so the criteria is slightly different on grading, make sure you read it, screw up, but beyond that, it's the same thing as before.
I'm getting a little misty eyed. I can't believe this is going to be over. All right, well, feedback also, if you guys, this is a good time to give it. If you guys want to email us or tell us anything or tell Anjali anything, like what we're thinking about next semester. In fact, there was some rumor, which sounds crazy to me, like whether or not they're even going to let us do this next semester. I don't think that's really true. But just in case, you should go tell people that this was really good and they should let us do it again if you think so.
Yeah, so the question was confirming next time is the last class. That's it.
Yes.
Josh, someone asked, they didn't see the course in the fall.
Yeah, that's what I don't think there's anything to decide, but just go complain, ask a lot, complain about that. Be like, hey, we want to. Why people are trying to sign up? Why can't they? Because I don't know why it's not fixed.
But students were trying to register for it, they couldn't find anything.
I know that's what we're trying to get fixed. But the best thing you can do is complain. Awesome. All right. Well, see you guys next week. Bye.
Is that like Greg or until there's like a million things on the app. Projects are my jam. Like, love building stuff. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have work at a race shop, stuff there. I run my own race team, and whatever projects and stuff. So, anyways, what I want to ask is, I'm going to do the SR code for my final demo. I was wondering like, if there's anything specific I want to do. So one of the main things I want to do is it doesn't work on the cell phone. So what that is it's How do you want to see your money? Like that's because I